From Anshe Sfard Bethel Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parshat Va'era, Global Impact. As we turn from the book of Bereshit, Genesis, the book of Exodus, Shemot, we ask ourselves, what's the major difference between these two books? Why is it even divided into two books? It's an ongoing saga, it's an ongoing story. What's the difference? I think it's very clear that the book of Bereshit or Genesis is a book of, as the Ramban Nachmanides says, Sefer HaYesharim. It's the book of the upright. It's the book of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, patriarchs and matriarchs. It's a book about individuals and their families that they built. That's Genesis. And what's Exodus? As Ramban Nachmanides quotes earlier scholars, it's the Sefer HaGeulah, it's the book of redemption. It's a book of national accomplishment, our national mission. That's the difference. Then if we ask ourselves a question, in what role can we play more of a global role? In what role can we greater fulfill the Abrahamic vision that God gave to Abraham, that that through you, Abraham and your children, all the nations of the world, the families of the world will be blessed? Where is the global vision most apparent? When we act as individuals or when we act as a community, a nation? Well, in some ways you say, we interact with Pharaoh here, we interact with Pharaoh there. Abraham and Isaac interacted with Pharaoh, with Avimelech, the king of the Philistines. Joseph certainly has great interaction with Pharaoh. Pharaoh has great respect for Joseph, for Abraham. And Moses interacts with Pharaoh. So what's the difference? The difference is that whereas individual monarchs may have had conversations with our individual exemplary patriarchs, but when Moshe stands in front of Pharaoh, he stands not merely as a representative of God, of himself, but of the Jewish people. He's a statesman representing the entire nation of Israel. And therefore the impact is different. Whereas Paro is surely impressed with Yosef, is there anyone like this who has the Spirit of God? When it comes to Egypt, our goal is not simply the conversion of Paro, but rather V'yadeu Mitzrayim ki ani Hashem. The goal is nothing less than that all of Egypt will know that God is God. Hayarei Dvar Hashem, those who were fearful of God in our parsha, they put their servants, they put their animals into the houses. They're afraid of the plague that's about to come. The Chartumei Mitzrayim, even the sorcerers of Egypt, they tell Paro that it's too late. There's a great danger here. The impact of what Moshe's trying to accomplish here, the impact of Moshe's achievements and the 10 plagues, is nothing less than an impact on all of civilization, and even Namogu Kol Yoshvei Canaan, even the Canaanites are trembling. As we learn from Rachav, whom the spies encounter as they enter the land of Canaan, as we learn from Jethro, from Yitro, who Atayadati Gadol Hashem Mikol Elokim, he knows that God is greater than all the nations. The impact of the Jewish people when they act as a nation is of global impact. It's not merely individuals who are impressive. We, as in the history of the Jewish people in the last 100 years, there surely have been many individuals who, as Jewish individuals, have had a great impact on the world, but they impacted as individuals. The state of Israel and its accomplishments have an impact not only as individuals. Someone says, that Jewish person achieved something, who knows what, but rather it has an impact on the front page of the New York Times. It has an impact in the story of nations. Israel is now playing a role in the saga of nation versus nation. nation together with nation. It's only as a nation that you can have an impact on all the nations. Yes, the Messiah will come one day, and he will hochiach l'amim rabim, that he will rebuke many nations, but not as an individual, but rather as a representative of the entire nation of Israel, who will have a country in the land of Israel. Today, there's a great interest in globalization. There's a great interest in being a citizen of the world, tikkun olam, trying to repair the whole world. And people think they can do this best as an individual philanthropist, as an individual volunteer, with a donation here and there. Certainly, much can be done, and we applaud any efforts to try to bring an end to poverty, try to address issues of poverty, wherever it may be. But ultimately, support for and contribution to and participation in the land of Israel, the state of Israel, as a nation, if that has the potential for the greatest impact on the world. When Israel will be a true light unto the nation in all its facets of its existence, that will ultimately be the greatest impact on tikkun olam, the fixing the world, malchut shaddai, in the way of God. We can't do it as individuals. Abraham had some impact, but it's limited. But what a nation can do, potentially, this is very great. So if you have an interest in global impact, affecting the global scene, try to impact the state of Israel, what it does, how it does it. Take an interest in that. That's where the Jewish people can make our mark, not as individuals, but as a nation. When individuals act, they can affect individuals. When a nation acts, a nation can have an impact on nations. That's our goal. That's what we want. Baruch hu b'zarcha, kol goyei haaretz, v'nivrechu v'cha kol mishpachot ha'adama. The vision that God gave to Abraham, that all the nations of the world, all the families of the world, will be blessed by Abraham and his family. You know how that happens? We need to build strong individuals. We need to work on ourselves. We need to build strong families, as they did in Genesis. That's the basis of the nation. Yishuvei Tobau, we came as nations. Well, next week's Parsha, we'll read about the sacrifice we bring as families. And then, when we become a nation, an Am HaNivchar, then and only then can we have the greatest impact in the global scene. Let us hope that we can fulfill this vision of moving from the individual to the family to the nation. And as nations, let's hope we can have a global impact. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sfar Bethlehem Congregation here in Memphis, Tennessee, for a discussion of Parshat Va'era and Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus. Join us each week for a discussion of the Parsha, various how-to videos, holiday videos, and thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit ASBEE.org.